All right, I'm live. Hopefully, I have a good stream because my internet is tripping tonight, or at least it seems like it's tripping tonight. So I don't know if I'm gonna have anybody watching, but hello, it's me, Shell360. Hey, Alondra. Um, so as you can see from the title of this video, it says it's not their fault. And the reason why I call this "It's Not Their Fault," hello, Mason, is because I wanted to talk about the whole thing with Mnet, X1, Produce 48, and Eyes One. I just, because my internet is so bad. I once did a live where no one tuned in for like 3 minutes, and it's because my internet was crappy. So that's why I never know. I'm always unsure. Hey, Janini. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. I want to talk about the whole thing with the produce series. And I titled it "It's Not Their Fault," not because I'm speaking about Mnet. I'm talking about the actual trainees themselves. So it seems like um, it seems like they have found evidence of vote tampering. They think at least two to three of the people who made it into X1 were not supposed to be a part of the group. They have since raided the offices of Ulam, Starship, and there's one other that I can't think of right now. I think maybe Pledis, but they've raided offices to find more evidence of potential bribery, where they think that the labels have paid Mnet for the placement of their trainees throughout the series and to end results. Also, there is some belief that there may have been some behind the scenes maneuvering, which is the reason why Byung-chan dropped out of Produce towards the end of the series run this last season. So I have every faith in the world that they're going to find out that the votes were manipulated, because there's just certain things that to me in my mind didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me that Minhee would have made it into the final group. I feel like Sungyeon came out of nowhere. Hangyul, I didn't think he would place that high. I'm not saying those are the definite three, but those three in particular, their votes surprised me. I think everyone felt like the other member of Uptension should have been in the group, and that it was a big scandal that he didn't make it. Um, so I have no doubt that there were some games being played. And even in Eyes One, the fact that there were only, I believe, two, possibly three members of the Japanese teams to make it into the final group, there was definitely some manipulation of the final votes. But we have what we have. We have an Eyes One, we have an X1, we have what we have. And is it right for advertisers, corporations to not want to work with these boys and these girls simply because Mnet did something shameful? Yes, absolutely. You should tell Mnet, I'm not going to support any groups you come up with moving forward, because that's going to keep a lot of trainees from wanting to waste their time on that show. But for the people who entered the show and didn't have the money or the power to get themselves into this group, but they made it anyway, do they deserve to be punished because of this opportunity? Because I'm not happy with the makeup of Eyes One. I think that Hyewon will always be a thorn in my side when it comes to how the fuck did she get in that group. But that doesn't dismiss that the rest of the girls in the group, including the ones that were fairly elected to the group, deserve to have their opportunity. And it seems like these companies are so short sighted when it comes to people that the public actually voted for. But Mnet does need to be held accountable. And the way you hold it accountable is don't advertise on Mnet. That's where the real punishment should be. It shouldn't be that you're not going to allow these boys to do CFs, that you're not going to give them sponsorships, that you're not going to sponsor their tours. It should be that you are pulling your ads from Mnet as a company, that you refuse to advertise in the next season of Produce because you don't want to seem complicit. But that doesn't seem to be the way that advertisers are looking at the situation. And it really sucks. It really sucks because we have an opportunity to make things right. But it's not going to be made right in the scale of the people who deserve to be shamed, it's going to be made right at the expense of the people who have the least amount of say in the way that things go, which are the trainees. They're the ones who are going to be the public base. They're the ones who are going to have to kneel and apologize to people and reflect on their actions, even though they didn't take any actions. It was all about Mnet and what they thought would make the best group at the end of the day. I also hope that this prompts a huge change in the way that these voting shows are done. First of all, I don't think that the company themselves should be allowed to be the ones to count the votes. I think if you want to ensure that future seasons of produce or future seasons, hi Anthony, our future seasons of other competition shows are fair, you need to hire an independent accounting firm. One that they count the votes themselves, they manage the voting apparatus, the call-ins, everything else. That way they can ensure that the votes had no way of being manipulated by Mnet. Now, if you did do something like that, would that affect what companies decide to bring what trainees to the show? It may, but there's so many other ways that Mnet has been able to influence the vote that just flat out cheating about the vote seems kind of cheap. For instance, we all know the evil edit. We've all seen the show where they create a storyline so that one person looks the victim and one person looks the villain. And that is a way that they create sympathy within the public to help get the votes. Definitely, if you have an independent accounting firm, they're going to make sure that that editing stays on point so they get the point across. These are the people that we like. Absolutely. But there's one way that you can help influence the vote without actually cheating. Another thing that they could do is maybe do a little bit differently than what they've been doing. You know, they can maybe take a page out of American Idol and go to the hometowns of some of these people and see what life is like for them and then put that on there so you already have an emotional connection with the trainee before they even get on the audition. So instead of going the evil editing route, go kind of the sweet editing route. Like, this is our fave and look how sweet we've made them. So I think there are things that can be done, but I definitely think having the third party accounting is really, really important. Having live vote counts during shows would be really great. I think not splitting up the performances would be really great. Hey, Tarian. Because it would be nice to make it to where you feel like the votes are even because everyone's given the same length of time to be voted on. Because personally, I've always felt like it's unfair to have one set of performances one week, one set of performances the next week, but then all of the contestants get to be voted on at the same time. Like, that just doesn't seem right to me. So, maybe make it to where you vote for the week of that performance and then the voting ends, and then the next week you're only voting for those contestants that have performances that week. Definitely some adjustments could be made to make the whole thing seem a lot fairer. No, we're actually talking about Mnet and their struggles with creating a fair produce. So these are the things that I think they could do to make it more fair so that nobody else has to go through this kind of abandonment and shame cycle that X1 is currently going through. It makes me really mad. I'm sorry, I have allergies. It makes me really mad on behalf of someone like Johan. And I've never made it a secret since the very first episode of the show. I liked Johan. I always thought that Johan was super cute. He seemed very earnest. He seems like he has just like a really transparent personality. And even though he didn't start out with the most technical skill, you could see that there was something there that showed that this boy can be taught. He's got creativity, he's got athleticism. He can be made into an idol. Like, it's all there in the raw material. So I've always wanted to see Johan do well. And there was no doubt in my mind he was going to make the final group because he's just got too much charm. But people don't even get to see that. He should be this year what Kang Daniel was in season 2. That's who he should be. And because of all of this, he's not getting that shine. And he's from a smaller company. He's from We Entertainment. There's not a lot of acts coming from We Entertainment. Now, granted, whoever's running We Entertainment, I believe it's a female-led company, they know how to spot him. They fucking know how to spot him because they've done some good scouting in the past. But there's a lot that should be coming Johan's way. he should have a lot more variety appearances. Like, there's just so much more for him than what he's getting, and it's because of the stink that Mnet has put on this whole situation. So I just wanted to put my little 2 cents out there about how I feel about the situation. I'm still gonna support X1. I bought their album. I haven't unboxed it on my channel, but I did buy their album, and I'm gonna continue to support them quietly the best way I can. But I just find it extremely unfortunate that they find themselves, the trainees, caught up in this stupid, stupid thing that never had to happen. Like, it just, things never had to go down like this, honestly. So now that I've talked about that, if you guys have any questions for me about things you'd like me to talk about, now's your time to leave comment. Let me know. I did a video earlier today talking about the whole thing with the Hollywood Reporter. Um, and I let my feelings be known about that whole situation because we have to start letting these outlets know what we will and won't accept when it comes to K-pop, because there's no way that they're going to know what to do because they haven't been paying attention. And if they're writing, this is the thing that really gets me about the fact that they wrote the article the way they did. Besides the fact that the journalist gives a lot of time and energy to his own laziness, it's obvious that they did this article so that they could print this magazine, so that they could sell this cover. They anticipated that fans of this group are going to buy this magazine to read this interview and to see these pictures. So why would you spend any time at all explaining what the maknae means in a group, or explaining that Korea has a stringent training system, when the people who bought the magazine and who are trying to read the article already know that? And also, none of the people reading the article give a fuck about the fact that the journalist is 47 and that he's lazy and uneducated and doesn't desire to be any better in his life. Like, seriously, like, everything. I'm surprised that the editors of the magazine didn't look at this article and say, "You're fucking fired. We spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to fly you to fucking Korea to write up this article. We paid for a translator. You come back and this is the bullshit you hand us. You're fucking fired." Like, I'm surprised that that's not what went on. I'm really surprised that that's not what happened. But I digress because I've already done a video about that. I have been asked about October comebacks. You guys, listen. There are so many October comebacks. I can't even think of them all. Like, it is just really overwhelming when you get down to it. I mean, we've got Hayes coming back with a comeback, and we've got IU, Brown Eyed Girls, AB6, TXT, Super M's debut, ATEEZ, Monsta X, fuck, I can't even think. I can't think. There's I think Taeyeon and Tiffany are having a comeback. Fuck, who else? Uh I don't know. I have no idea. I just, there's so many things going on right now, and it's just, I have only purchased one comeback, no, two comebacks so far, because I'm just so exhausted. Ladies Code. Uh like, it's just so many things happening, and I just can't believe it's all happening in the month of October. I mean, we had 12 fucking months. Last month would have been a cool time to release something. Fuck, August would have been a cool time to release something. Why is everyone coming back in October? You know, I mean, I think the only good thing about it all is that they're coming back in October and not November or December, because I have to Christmas shop and I need you guys to get your foot off my neck so that I can Christmas shop. But yeah, like, why did everybody wait until October to do this? Oh, that's right, Super Junior too. Oh my, there's too many. There's too many. I can't. I can't. I can't. I literally can't. And it's not like September was without its own big comebacks. We had Twice with their new comeback, which is really good. We had Jessie from P Nation do a comeback. It is a song that I don't think she can perform anywhere but online, but still, she had a comeback. Um, I think we're supposed to be getting something from Yana soon, but I don't really know the details of all that. Uh, we had, I think Crush's Napa came out during September. I'm trying to think what else came out in September. A few good things came out in September. September was not lame. September had some good stuff. But my gosh, compared to October, October is off the charts. I've not seen the last time I remember having a month like this was the month that Chongin Shia's album came out. Because I remember that month it was like Boa, Jonghyun, Luna, and then Taeyeon, I think, and then EXO. Like I remember that like that was a crazy summer. That was a couple years ago. More than a couple years ago actually. Wow. Wow, more than a couple years ago. Anyway, I remember that being a really super crazy summer, but I have not experienced just this glut of comebacks in recent years, and it's scary. It's scary. Speaking of comebacks and just things that I wasn't anticipating, I watched the Magic concept trailer for TXT, and it is gorgeous. Like I don't really talk about TXT on my channel because I didn't buy their album. It just didn't appeal to me. Like the song that they released didn't appeal to me. It just didn't appeal to me. I watched the concept video. It is beautiful. Like it is so gorgeous and it's so smart. Like that's the thing that makes it even prettier is that it is done so smart. It's basically a plain white boxy style room, and they've got a projector and they project all these different sceneries onto these white walls, and the boys are wearing really simple clothing, but the choreography is just stunning. It looks like a modern dance performance. It doesn't even look like it's related to K-pop. Like there's none of the, hit the whoa and, doing the shoot dance. There's none of that kind of stuff. It's all very interpretive. It's all very kind of nebulous and free flowing, but yet very tight as well. A lot of linked arms and big expressive movements, but it is really super gorgeous. Like I'm stunned at how well it was put together, and it doesn't feel like it is at all related to their last release. Like I remember seeing the trailers when they did their debut and thinking these trailers are odd. Like they didn't seem related to each other. It really didn't make me anticipate anything with them, but at the very minimum, I don't know that I'm going to buy their album, but I'm definitely going to give it a listen because there were a couple of instrumental tracks that I heard that I thought this could be up my alley. This might be something I like. I'm still kind of weirded out about the fact that they are so incredibly young because they are little babies, and I don't want to have babies singing inappropriate things to me. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what they do. And I think that this is a really smart way for them to go. Hey, Caitlin. I think this is a really smart direction for TXT to go because I think with their debut, they were too much like everybody else. They were too much like a Pentagon or the Boys or, all the other groups that were doing kind of a very similar thing. I think this concept trailer really made them seem like they are what Big Hit promised us, another color in their rainbow. And I think that it definitely shows how they're different from BTS, which is important, but also how they're different than all the other boy groups that are coming out right now. I haven't seen anybody in this new crop of boys do what I saw in that trailer. And I'm not saying it's like brand new, never been done type stuff. I'm just saying like it's not the direction that every boy group is going in currently. And that's what makes it so amazing to watch and makes it such an interesting project to try to look forward to because it's not at all what I expected, but it's everything that makes me excited about K-pop, because these are the things that modern American mainstream music doesn't give you. You know, when I watch videos, every once in a while, I'll go on the trending page for YouTube and I'll try to see what the latest video is from the latest no name SoundCloud rapper. And, you know, I watch the video and the videos are colorful, even if they're a tad bit dark, they're colorful, and, you know, people look great and the camera work is phenomenal, but there's no narratives. Or sometimes, if it's a lack of a narrative, sometimes it's just the choreography is not interesting. You know, they barely move. And this was something where it's like, it definitely felt like magic because of the way that the projection art was done in the room, but it also told a story kind of, and it made you kind of forget about the fact that you were paying attention to a boy group, and it made you just kind of fall into the idea of performance. And I think that's really important. So no, you've never heard me talk about TXT on my channel the way that I'm talking about them right now, but yeah, this is something that I'm just really excited to see what it's going to look like when it's done. um so I did talk about chicken noodle soup on my last live very briefly. So if you want to hear what I said about that, you need to check that out. Um, I like that. Oh, speaking of 17, okay, so I was on Twitter and somebody tweeted a video clip from 17 where they were talking about how when they first joined Pledis as trainees, Pledis was a really famous company, and one of the members said something about, you know, we'll see where they are in 2 years. And then another member laughed. And to me, I thought it was a super revealing soundbite video clip, because I think the fans of 17, of which I don't count myself a fan, not that I dislike them, I like them well enough, but there was a period there where I wasn't really the biggest fan of what they were putting out music wise. But it struck me as very telling about how they feel about the way that Pledis has been mistreating them. Because even though I'm not the biggest fan of 17, I keep my ear to the street. I listen to what the children are saying. Oh, speaking of children, do you guys like my cool young people haircut? It's actually pretty ugly, but you know what? We're just gonna have to deal with it for now. It looks better when my hair is down, I promise. Anyway, I've heard Carrots talk about the fact that Pledis has kept members of 17 from receiving proper royalties. That 17 not only does a lot of writing for their projects, but also they do their own choreography, and that there are royalties or credits to be had for creating choreography, and that Pledis has not allowed them to receive their proper credits. Also, it's been said that Pledis has not used kind of the profits that 17 has made in order to kind of reinvest in 17. They've been giving them kind of a bare bones budget to work with to do new projects. And, you know, this release that they have now, I believe there's 5 different versions, and each version has multiple sets of photo cards, and it's literally a cash grab. That's what it is. It's literally a cash grab from Pledis. Um, but yeah, for a long time, Carrots have expressed their upset and their disappointment in the way that Pledis has treated 17, because they feel like 17 really is the moneymaker at Pledis. Yes, people are fans of New East. We love New East. People are fans of After School, but After School doesn't promote. New East just kind of finally got back on the popularity bandwagon with their appearance on Produce. So when it comes to making money, 17 has been that girl. And for them to treat them the way that they do, it shows that there's something fundamentally wrong inside of Pledis. And somebody needs to take a look at it before it becomes another TS Entertainment. Speaking of TS Entertainment, you all have seen the news going on there. Quick recap for those of you who don't know. A rapper with TS Entertainment, Sleepy, he has left the label. Two members of Sunamu have sued for contract terminations. And of course, the two members that sued for contract termination have been sued back by TS. Sleepy has been sued by TS. The two members of Sunamu, they're being accused of like ruining comebacks and alienating the group members. Sleepy has been accused of embezzlement by TS, but while we've all been concerned about which idols are being paid what and what idol is being treated unfairly, I think a lot of times we forget about what it's indicative of when the idols are treated so bad. Korea, the actual government of Korea, is now investigating TS for not paying their employees. And I think that's something that we don't think about when it comes to these idols and these companies that support idols. Behind every CEO of a company, there are stylists, there are managers, there are choreographers, there are marketing departments, there's art design, there's people who coordinate packaging and shipping and manufacturing, there's people who do the scheduling for shows, there's people who are in charge of coordinating the transportation, there's people who set up concert tours and they do all of that kind of strategizing. There are janitors. There's people who open the building, and there's people who make sure that the lights are kept on and that the accounting is taken care of. Those people, when your idol's not getting paid, those people aren't getting paid either. And TS has been not paying for vacation time. They have not been paying for overtime. When people have been laid off of the company, or if they've left the company, there's a certain kind of severance they're supposed to be paid. They haven't been paid that. And TS is now in trouble because you can't go around suing all these idols and losing in court behind suing all these idols without somebody saying, why are you going so hard on people that you really shouldn't be acting like this about? And it's because they're doing everything they can to make as much money as they can before the big scam is revealed. Now, if you've been a fan of K-pop for a really long time, or well, like, not even a really long time. If you've been a fan of K-pop, I would say at least 5 years, then you know that there's always been this kind of undercurrent or reputation that K-pop is run by gangsters. And for those of you who are new to K-pop and haven't heard this rumor, let me tell you about it. This is all allegations. This is all assumptions, not facts. Just put that out there. Ever since I've been in K-pop, there's always been this story about how brand new companies, little bitty companies, get their financing from the Korean underground, Korean mafia. Because when it comes to the Korean mafia system, there's no way to legally make money. Like you can't, you're shaking down people, you're giving loans to people and loan sharking, you're doing things that are illicit. But having a K-pop company gives you a way of claiming money for tax purposes and being able to set up bank accounts because you can put that in the name of a business. So let's say I am a mafia guy and I've been shaking down people left and right, and I've got this kitty of money that I'm trying to, legally have, because I don't want to keep it all stuffed in the mattress. I don't want somebody to come and rob my home. I want to be able to put this money in the bank without the government saying, how did you come up with $1 million? So what I do is I start a little entertainment company. I get some hopefuls from one of these entertainment schools, like, Soul High or whatever, and I grab maybe the least talented kids I can find who are desperate to come up in the entertainment system. And I tell their parents, you can pay me $1,000 and I will let your kid join my company. I will promote them for a comeback. I might be able to get them like a third stage on Mbank or something, and we'll make things happen. So you start the company, You pick the idols, you find somebody who is a young, naive college student music major, you get them to write a song, or maybe you find like some drunk, used to be famous songwriter, offer to pay him a little money to write a song for your group. You film a video in an old warehouse, or you film it on the streets of Hongdae, or you film it on Jeju Island, and then you put out a video on YouTube, and then you have them do maybe 2 or 3 weeks of shows on Music Bank or The Show or any of these other television shows. And basically, you know people because you're a mafia guy. You know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who can make it to where your group can fill in when they have blank spots on these music shows. Then what you do is you put the song on Naver, Melon, places like that. You then buy your own song. So you buy your own song, you claim tax breaks for filming the music video, you claim tax breaks for paying for the training, you claim tax breaks for having to have a building for them to train in, a dormitory to pay for, all these things. Now, if you're smart, here's how you make your real money. You use your mafia money to bring all this kind of to come about. Some of your mafia money goes for setting up this entertainment company. Some of your mafia money goes into buying these digital songs. You then get to take the profit from the digital songs. That's money you get to keep. But you signed a contract with these super desperate kids. You get to keep their $1,000 or whatever it is they gave you in order for them to join your entertainment company. You also have a contract with these dumb kids that's maybe a 7-year contract. You then get to spend your time shaking down these kids to get them to pay off the money you spent opening the studio, buying the costumes, filming the music video, doing all the other things you had to do to promote them, buying the dorm, all that stuff. So it becomes a no lose situation. You get a chance to get a tax break, create a legal business, make somebody else be obligated for the cost of your startup business, and funnel money through your digital sales and maybe even your physical sales. It's a win win if you're a street guy who's looking to go legit. And I have every reason to believe that that's probably the true story for a lot of these companies. And so I wouldn't be surprised if some of these companies that treat their idols like shit that we know about because somehow or another the idols got lucky enough to get the public's attention, if it was one of those things where they thought they were going to go in, snatch the money, and get out, and instead these guys got popular and they didn't have the actual real infrastructure to support sustained success. And I think that's what happens a lot of the time. You know, when the legend was found to be in the shitty conditions that they were in, practically trapped in a dark, waterless room, I think it's because it was one of these companies that was built to be fly by night in order to help get over on some other scheme somebody had. This is allegations, not facts. But yeah, it's 10 cap hour with Samantha. You guys know how it goes. But yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. And for me, this whole thing with TS bullying people in lawsuits after they've been legally allowed to get out of their contracts, to me, it sounds like a shakedown. Like the way it looks, the way it sounds like a shakedown. But, you know, I'm not saying I know for sure because I've not been in those books. I've not talked to anybody about this, but that's the way it feels. It feels like a shakedown. So I just wanted to, talk about that because I think it's important for us to remember. I'm going to keep this live up, so don't worry about it. I just thought it's important to talk about that because all the time, older K-pop fans always tell the younger kids, "Oh, you guys don't know. You guys don't know." But I think they don't know because we don't talk about it. we don't talk about like all the things that have happened in the past. We don't talk about all the things that were missed. We don't talk about how ugly this system can be. We just kind of shame new K-pop fans because they don't know these things instead of trying to take the opportunity to educate them about these things or take the time to share the things that we've heard over the years, you know. And it's a shame that we don't do this because I think it would enrich their experience and I think it would bridge the gap between older and younger fans if we just talked about this stuff instead of telling young kids you don't know anything about the greatness that was DBSK. Instead of doing that, why don't we just tell them, and this is the reason why it all fell apart. And this is an example of why you can't trust these fucking companies and why you can be a company stand for the artist but also hate the fucking company they come from. Prime example, Super M. So I have bought Super M's new album. I bought the Taemin cover only. I didn't buy a whole bunch of covers because I don't plan to do that for this company, for this group. But I love SM because they've given me Girls' Generation and SHINee and EXO and NCT and Super Junior and TVXQ and Red Velvet and FX. And I'm sure I'm missing somebody else. But I mean, SM has given me a ton of music that is literally the soundtrack to my K-pop life. So I can't help but love the company because of the product. But SM has had some problems. SM has had some issues with the way that they promote artists, with the way they're trying to create what is a disposable entertainment industry rather than an industry that relies on the relationships between fans and their artist. Also, SM has had this kind of shadow company that they've been funneling all of their profits to give to Isuman. Well, this last year, as you all know, investors in SM have said we have not turned a profit or paid a dividend to investors the entire time this company has been around. And you've said continuously that you don't pay dividends because you don't have money to pay dividends, but you have millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to pay to Isuman and his kind of shadow company that he runs. And then SM, the president, whoever is in charge of that, was like, well, we're not going to stop paying Isuman. So you guys need to quit asking. We're not going to stop giving him money because this is the situation we're in. Much like the mafia, everybody's going to continue to pay tribute to the boss. However, we're going to get you some money. We're not going to get you all the money you want, but we're going to get you some money. And we got an idea how to get you this money. We're going to take all of the most popular visual people from all the boy groups we have right now, and we're going to put them into a super group. And we're going to put a whole bunch of merchandise out there and a whole bunch of albums, and we're going to make them go on a tour, and we're going to really promote this thing to these international fans who are gullible anyway, and that's how we're going to get you a little bit of money. What do you say? And you can tell that that's what it is by the way that they've marketed Super M. I've never seen a company market a group the way that Super M is being marketed. I literally got a tweet today that said flash sale, and it was to sell these vinyl covers of all the individual members of Super M. I've never had a K-pop company put out a tweet talking about a flash sale on merchandise. Like, never in all my days. And they've put out postcards. They've already given us tour dates. They have put out multiple versions of the album. They've got Kino. They've got t-shirts. They've got bundle packages. Anybody who buys a ticket to the tour, they're going to get a free copy of the album. Oh, and tour tickets are like fucking $50 a piece starting price. Like, it is insane the way that the rollout for Super M is going. The Barnes and Noble thing, they're going to be doing fan signs at different Barnes and Nobles. When has that ever happened? And if this was Taemin from SHINee doing a fan sign by himself, it would be weird because that's not what we're used to for them when they come to the States. If it was Kai and Baekhyun from EXO or EXO doing fan signs at the Barnes and Nobles, it would be highly irregular because again, that's not the shit they do when they come to the States. They barely stop for us when they come to the States. Normally they hit the show, they do their 3 or 4 dates, and then they're the fuck out of here. But like this is weird. This is really weird. And so I can only see it as one thing. I see it as them desperately trying to come up with the money that it takes to get these investors off their back before they start pulling their investments out of SM. Because SM can't live without new investors. It's practically a pyramid scheme because people aren't getting paid a dividend, but they hold on to the stock with anticipation that the value of the company is going to grow. But when you have a company who has lost the pulse of the industry and their new products aren't selling the way that they're supposed to, and people are now saying, I want cash instead of potential, instead of giving them the money that they should have been giving them all along, they're taking what they have already, they're recycling it, and they're pushing it out there, and they're telling fans, well, if you're a loyal fan of this group, you're obligated to support them by spending money in this direction. And I think that's really shitty. I think that's really super shitty of SM. And it's definitely taking the bloom off the flower for sure. I mean, I've already stated in more than one more than one video. I'm really, really tired of the way that SM has tried to make us believe that NCT is going to be able to pull a Johnny's. I've said it more than once, that SM has got to be out of their fucking mind if they think that fans are going to accept you constantly rotating members in and out of these groups. Because the whole foundation of K-pop fandom is that you become attached to these individuals and the configuration that they're in. And Super M holds two functions for SM. Number one, it's them testing the theory that you'll accept different configurations of the same ingredients. Number two, how far will your loyalty go? If you're not going to accept a group where the members change constantly and your loyalty is going to stick to these individuals, will you stick with these individuals when we pull them out of the configuration you're used to and put them somewhere else? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, this whole Super M thing. But yeah, I'm highly disappointed with SM pulling this shit. I'm highly disappointed that my faves are involved in this. And I'm highly disappointed that SM has really lost the pulse of K-pop. Like, I love Superhuman. It is probably my favorite NCT song that they've done in the last 2 years. But Superhuman is a shiny song. Say what you want, Superhuman is a shiny song. And it is a song that I call a shiny song because it's kind of old fashioned, to be honest with you. It's the kind of classic K-pop sound I expect to hear from a shiny. And that goes to show that SM doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, because a group like NCT, which is supposed to be their younger generation group, which is supposed to match the market, shouldn't sound like shiny. That shouldn't be the case. They should sound like something brand new. And the fact that SM continues to give Red Velvet the same sound over and over again, that they haven't given them something new sounding since Bad Boy, it goes to show SM doesn't know the market anymore. And I don't know if it's because Isuman is in the background telling SM what they need to be debuting, if he's the one telling them these are the songs we need to clear and these are the concepts we need to go with. But you need to sit down somewhere, old man, because you really don't know what's happening in these streets. At 40 years old, I could tell you, I don't know what's happening in these streets. And I'm probably a good 15 years younger than Isuman, at least. So if I don't know what's happening in these streets, I highly doubt that that old bitch knows what's going on in these streets. It's time to let go. It's time to find. Okay, so thinking that Red Velvet's changed their style and that Zimzalabim is different, Zimzalabim is not different. Let me tell you, it's if you listen to any of Red Velvet's B-sides, there's always songs that are super weird. And it's always been that way since day one. Like, what is it? Second Date, I think, is one of the songs. There's a few songs, like if you go on the Red album, just going further back in the discography, they've always had these songs that are just strange. That like they just don't sound like anything else. They're weirdos. And they tried making one of these weirdo tracks a lead track when they did Rookie. Thank you. Attaboy, Time Slip. These weirdo tracks. Zimzalabim and Oompa Oompa, they are more of these kind of weird ass songs that they've done over the years, but now it's the title track instead of a B-side like it should be. So no, it's nothing new for them. It's the same shit that they've been doing. And it's a disservice to Red Velvet. You know, I like Red Velvet as a group. Me talking bad about Zimzalabim and Oompa Oompa have nothing to do with me disliking Red Velvet. It's quite the opposite, actually. If I didn't give a damn about Red Velvet, or if I hated Red Velvet, I wouldn't talk about them. Period, point blank. My anger is the fact that they're not getting a chance to grow, and they totally can. They totally can. They could absolutely grow. They've got the vocal talent. They are able to do choreography. Like, they're good to go. They could make this happen. Oompa Oompa, that man voice in Oompa Oompa throws that whole song off for me. But Red Velvet, they've got something there. There's something there that could make them work. And Bad Boy and Peekaboo are great examples of like, they really could diversify their sound. They could do anything the Mamamoos of K-pop could do. They could do anything that any of these other girl groups that are maybe a little bit more soulful or have a little bit more depth can do. They're just not being given the material. And it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks because they deserve it. Everything that Twice has come out with recently, Red Velvet could do. Abso-fucking-lutely. So I don't understand. I love Erasure. Oh my gosh. My favorite Erasure song is How can I explain when there are few words I can choose? How can I explain when words get broken? Okay, so I'm an old bitch because that song is from the 80s, but still, favorite song. We used to talk about the weather, making plans together, the days would last forever. Come to me, cover me, hold me, together we'll break these chains of love. So don't give up, don't give up, together with me and my baby, breaking chains of love. Sorry, I just love that song so much. Oh gosh. Woo! 80s gay anthems, they're the fucking best. I'm sorry. The new gay anthems are cool, but the 80s gay anthems were something entirely different. They literally sounded like rainbows. Oh my gosh. Speaking of Erasure and rainbows, do you guys remember that one like unicorn robot game that Cartoon Network used to have at, and it used an Erasure song as the theme song for it? Fucking love that song. I fucking love that song. I forget how that song goes now. Open your eyes for me. Now your eyes are open. I love that song. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm totally on a tangent. I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about. I was talking about Red Velvet. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Erasure. That's Erasure. Okay. Oh my gosh. Totally off here. Totally off here. But that does bring about my point. The fact that somebody would say that Oompa Oompa reminds them of Erasure, which was a group that's heyday was in the 80s, just goes to show the mindset of the people who are managing Red Velvet and NCT. It's an old mindset. They need new blood. They need new people. And it's not like SM doesn't have access to new people, doesn't have access to new producers. Jinbo, I talked about him on my previous live. Jimbo produced Look for Red Velvet off of their Perfect Velvet album. And Jinbo also produced Chicken Noodle Soup for J-Hope. He also helped to produce Anpanman for BTS. So you've got a guy who does Anpanman for BTS, does Chicken Noodle Soup for J-Hope. Both of these songs, very well received, very modern sounding. Does Look for Red Velvet. But that's not the person that you're inviting to do more songs to kind of bring their sound into the new. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't do this. And yes, I did get a side cut. Can you see? Can you tell? Anyway, yeah, like you have the money. You have the money, you have the resources, you can make this happen. Like the only reason why Key was able to get Crush to do a song with him is because Key probably went to Crush and said, "Will you do this song with me?" You know, they have the resources. When Taman was talking about his last album, the Want album, he said, "I go to the catalog of songs that SM has and I pick the songs that I want to do." Like it's all there. The money is there, the producers are there, the songwriters are there, but also that statement again shows a flaw when it comes to SM system. There shouldn't be a book of songs that you've had for years and that's what you're pulling from to create brand new content. You need to be writing stuff specifically for these artists right then and there. Because trends change, production styles change. Some things are classic, but not everything. Thank you. I agree with you. Charlie Taft sounds like he would be an amazing choice. Like, there's just so many hot young producers out there. There's so many people doing really interesting things. And so that is the reason why I feel like they need to stop letting Eastman be the one who calls the shots. If you guys have to pay him because he started SM, fine. Fucking pay the guy. Give him his money. But do not continue to rely on his expertise because you know what you're going to do? You're going to find yourself in the same fucking position that YG is in right now. The position that YG is in right now is a position because they had one fucking dude calling all the shots. And so when YG had to step away to handle his criminal activities, alleged, uh, they couldn't release Treasure Box, that little group. They couldn't move forward on most of their Blackpink stuff that they needed to do. Instead, they had to rush out Akmu because Akmu is self-producing. That's the reason why they got to come back. So that's the reason why I'm saying, like, you have to take the power out of a central person. You've got to pull it away from these figureheads of these labels, and you need to start passing it along to people who are going to continue to grow the label long after this figurehead is gone. Because again, if something happens to them, they get locked up, they fucking die, then what happens to the label? What happens to the artist? Just gonna call it a day like that? You know, as much as I give shit to JYP for being a weirdo, one thing that JYP is actively doing right now is he is trying to find a way to get his company to sustain itself past his lifetime. And a lot of people don't see it that way, and I get why you don't see it that way because there's been a lot of high profile people that have left the label. Both members of 15 have left the label. Jisoo, who is now going by the name of Golden, call him by his name, has left the label. He left the label a while ago though. Pretty much everybody from Miss A is gone. Everybody from Miss A is gone. Baek Ayeon, she left. I'm sure there's some other people that we don't get to see very much that have left the label. So really the only people left on the label are certain members of 2PM, GOT7, and Twice, and Stray Kids. That's really all that's left on the label right now, to be honest with you. But what JYP has done, okay, yeah, Yubin and Hyelim, even though Lim's not coming out anytime soon. You know what it is. I did mention Stray Kids. What JYP is doing is he's done this thing. ITZY. I always forget about ITZY because they're new. What JYP is doing, which is very interesting, Day6, I forget about them too because I don't listen to them. They're not my style of music. I'm just going to be honest with you. What JYP is doing is he's established like separate labels within the company. Also, he has that Chinese group too. I always forget about that Chinese group he's producing. He's established these kind of sub labels within his label. And what he's doing is he's training these sub labels to kind of know the JYP style. And so these sub labels are the reason why you're starting to see Twice sound the way that they do. Because now they've got teams dedicated to managing certain aspects of certain artists. And at first, people were like, we don't like this because they're not really managing things the way we want them to. I get where you're coming from. But I think it took a while for them to kind of knock out the kinks of how this sub label thing is going to work out. And now we're at the point where we're seeing what it looks like once the kinks have been knocked out, once they've realized what they need to do to sustain it. And they're now moving forward with their kind of sub label system in order to be able to turn profits and turn public popularity towards these groups. Now, the sub label for GOT7, y'all need to be fired because y'all aren't doing your job. You're not promoting things the way you should, because GOT7 has had a couple really solid projects recently and they weren't received nearly as well as they should have been. But I think that this is the way to go. I think this is the way to go, because if you have these sub labels that have their own kind of point person who's then managing these very narrow aspects of the company, that point person can devote more time to that artist and can devote more time to the plan of how they're going to be marketed. And so that is something that's going to help for growth in the future, because whereas JYP for a while every group relied on the amount of attention he could give them, now he's saying I can give attention to my managers can give attention to these artists, and now the artists can be happier because they now feel that they're being heard more instead of it being directly from me and me not having time for everybody. So I think that's really important. I think it's the way that things need to be done. I think instead of having Isuman telling people this is what I want to do with these groups, I think instead have it like, this is our women's division and this is our legacy women's division and this is our rookie women's division. But yeah, I think that that's where it needs to go. I think that's where it needs to go, is like, don't decentralize it, kind of make it go this way. Instead of here, go here. But I feel like this whole chat has been us talking about like the behind the scenes of the K-pop industry. Like, from the start of this chat, it's been all about like, and this is what the company's doing, and this is the management style, and this is the way that they get their funding, and blah, blah, blah. I think I hardly talked about the artists at all. I mostly talked about like what goes on behind the scenes and all the shitty business practices that happen when it comes to K-pop. But you know what? It is what it is. It's just the truth. It's really just the truth. But I've now been on for an hour. I think I've hit kind of all the hallmarks of what's in the news as of right now. If you guys can think of anything that I didn't talk about that I need to talk about, let me know right now. I guess you guys might want to hear about what it is I'm buying, because I did mention I've only bought 2 comebacks so far for October. I bought ATEEZ's comeback because I needed to, and I bought I can't remember the other one I bought. I bought something else for October, but I totally forgot what it is I bought. But yeah, I bought at least 2 things. I know for sure I bought ATEEZ because I love ATEEZ. I mean, they're just so great. They're so great. They're little butt heads, but they're so great. I bought ATEEZ. I'm going to be buying Akmu, even though they came out in September technically, but I'm still going to buy that. Super M. I bought Super M. I totally forgot. See? It's so off my radar because it's just like one of those things. I bought it so long ago. I literally bought that album when they announced that it was going to be on Amazon. That's when I bought that album. So it's been that long ago since I bought that I actually forgot that I bought it. But I bought ATEEZ. When Brown Eyed Girls pre-orders come out, I will probably be buying it. Yeah, if IU does a physical, I'll probably be buying her physical. I don't know if Hazy's got a physical or not, but I'll probably be buying that. Yeah, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker. Somebody asked me, I listened to Onus's Lit. I'll give you my opinion on that in a moment. In terms of Luna, I will give you my opinion on Luna. DSP is a hard one for me to give an opinion on the company because literally when I think of DSP, I only think of KARD at this point. That's the only group I think of when I think of DSP. And I think that KARD is trying really hard, but they have an uphill battle because they lost so much steam from Ride Like the Wind and some of the other kind of middling singles they did before, that even though Bomb Bomb was a good song and Dumb Litty is okay, but has a very good music video, styling wise. It's just hard for them to pick up steam because people remember all of the mediocre singles they did in between. And April, yeah, I totally forgot about them girls. I thought that group was disbanded. Uh, but Luna, I was asked the question about Luna. How do I feel about Luna, memes aside? If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know I've bought Luna albums. So I actually do like music from Luna. In fact, back when there was Google Plus, I remember the first time I ever spoke Luna's name was when they had it was a song with the first girl and the third girl. No, it might have been the first and second girl. I can't remember which girls it was, but it was the debut girl and another girl, and they did a song that was like "You Can Rely on Me" or something. It was like a very '90s kind of hip hop sounding song, and I remember posting it to my Google Plus back when that was still a thing, and being like, "Oh yeah, I like this group so much." I did buy Colds. I did buy that. I did buy that. I'll be there. Thank you. That's the name of the song. I'll be there. I remember posting it on my Google Plus and being like, I don't know who this group is, but this is my favorite sound in the world. I love 90s New Jack, and I would like to hear more from these girls. And at the time, I didn't know who Luna was. I didn't know about their whole debuting girls every month concept thing. So when a new girl came out, I didn't associate her with these other two girls I heard. I literally thought these two girls I heard were a group. I really did. I thought that they were a group, and I'm like, I don't know who these two bitches are, but I'll buy their shit because that's the style I like. And then when it started coming out that it was like this monthly thing, and I kept seeing more information, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but none of the stuff coming out after I'll Be There really is hitting for me. Like, I don't dig any of this stuff. It was like the Kissy Frog thing. I didn't get that, didn't really like it. One of the other songs sounded like a Christmas song, wasn't really my thing. Then Eclipse came out, and it was like Luna came out again. It was like a brand new debut practically because it was like, oh wow, y'all do this sound as well. And then almost everything that came out after Eclipse was like, yes, 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 yes. And I was really excited. And then the Hi Hi video came out, and I was not as excited. I actually was one of the few people that liked Favorite. I loved Favorite, to be honest with you. Uh, but Hi Hi, I was like, this sounds like some kind of anime song or something. This is not cool for me. Butterfly, I think I would have liked Butterfly if they didn't have wings, wings. I hate that. That is the only part of that song that I hate. The rest of the song is actually pretty cool. I just really hate the wings, wings. Oh gosh, get away from me. Get away from me with that. I don't like it. And then nothing really happened. And I don't know if it was because of poor management on the part of Blockberry, the whole, not having enough CDs to fulfill people's orders, and the limited editions going out of print, and, mismanagement when it comes to the way that they've done their album sales. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with them. I don't know where things are going, but I worry for their future. I worry for their future. I don't know if they're going to be able to come back. I don't know. I just don't know. But I hope things go well for them because there's a lot of good girls there, and there's a lot of potential there. But I mean, I wonder if maybe Blockberry spent all the money early on these extravagant music videos that they flew around the world to film. I mean, I don't know what the deal is there. I tend to think it might be another one of the mafioso money type things. That's just an opinion, not a fact. But yeah, I would like to understand, and I would like to know, what is the deal when it comes to Luna? Like, I don't know. I don't know. So basically, at the end of the day, I have hope for them, but not high hopes. Not high hopes, if you get what I'm saying. Ha ha! Mom jokes. Okay. Now that I've covered my Luna base, I'm going to give you guys the most negative opinion that I've had on this channel in a really long time. This is probably going to be one of the spiciest things I've ever said. And I lost several subscribers this month. I lost like 8 subscribers. This is going to be really, really bad. But I'm going to say it anyway because I need it to be heard. I listened to the song from One Is Lit. I watched the video for One Is Lit. And not gonna lie, I feel like armies are right. That shit feels like it was lifted from the BTS playbook. That shit was uncomfortable to watch. I'm not usually one of those people who's like, that was that group's concept, not your concept. I'm not one of them kind of people. And when people used to do that shit to BTS, I'd be like, that's not fair. When people used to do that to other groups, I didn't think that shit was fair. I'm not one of those people who's like, you stole somebody's concept. The closest I've ever come to that is like the Momoland Boom Boom sounding like the Me 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 song, because literally them two songs are the same song, and I'm surprised that it didn't get a chance to come out, that it was a copyright infringement, because it should have. But I listened to Lit, and it sounds not like a specific BTS song. It sounds like every high point from BTS upbeat songs for the last 2 years. Like, there are specific moments in the song Lit that I'm like, that sounds like that came from DNA. That sounds like that came from Dope. That sounds like that came from Idol. That sounds like that came from Boy With Love. Like, I was listening to the song, and as I was listening to the song, I'm like, I can pinpoint the place that that moment came from in a BTS song. And it was uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I didn't like myself for feeling that way. And I didn't like the fact that it was so similar that it felt like that. So I just, I don't want to believe that One Is His company lifted all of these different things from BTS. I feel bad even for saying that out loud, to be honest with you, because again, like I said, I feel like there's nothing new under the sun. Let's just be honest. There's nothing new under the sun. All human beings are doing the same thing they've been doing for forever. We're making music, we're eating, we're dying, we're sleeping. But this just feels too much like they said, what are your favorite moments from these songs? What kind of vocal trills, or what kind of, little fun things that have been done do you really like? What do you feel like is kind of the earworm from this song? Because we're not going to copy the whole song, but maybe we're going to take a vocal pattern and patch that in there, or maybe we're going to do a little bit of a tempo change that's similar to this song and put that in there. But that One Is Lit song sounds like somebody went through the BTS music videos with a fine-tooth comb, and whatever they were able to catch in the prongs, like, and these are the things that we will now drop into your video. And I didn't like it. I actually, I liked the song because it reminds me of songs I like. I didn't like the fact that it reminded me of songs I like. So, yeah, that's how I feel about the One Is song. And it just sucks because in order for those boys to be able to pull off the sounds that they did, they have to have talent. So this is not me critiquing the group, and I'm always very clear about that. I'm not critiquing the group. I am critiquing the label, because somebody at the label should have contacted an attorney and said, does this come too close to the line? Because it really does come very close to the line. I'm not attacking the boys. Not attacking the boys. They couldn't have sounded as good as they did if they don't have their own genuine talents. And when you watch them in the music video, they're winking at the camera, they're making, kind of, cheeky faces. They're obviously a talented group of boys. I'm not going to take that away from them. I'm not a hater in that respect. They obviously have talent, and their talent should be displayed in a way that is uniquely them. That's what they deserve. Not being given material that makes it sound like it's a cast off of another group's sound. They deserve better than that. So yeah, like I said, this is probably the spiciest thing I've said in a really long time. But I know you guys say, "Oh, you always say that," and then it's not really that spicy. No, this one's pretty spicy, y'all. This one's pretty jalapeno. But I say that with the hope that the rest of the album is totally different and totally innovative and totally original, and the people who are fans of them aren't going to be based on that sound. It's going to be on everything else. But it's just, if I wanted to hear a BTS song, I'm going to listen to a BTS song. You know, you feel me? You get what I'm trying to say? Uh, so Alondra says she's gonna stick with SHINee and EXO-L because these other boy groups, they don't do it for her. I get where you're coming from, sis. Totally understand you. I think we've fallen into kind of a black hole when it comes to boy groups. People know what's popular, and again, we're back in the whole company thing. My gosh, this is a very company centric life. People know what's popular. These companies, they're out to make money. So they're able to identify what is popular. And when they're able to identify what is popular, they decide to go in the direction of what is popular. And so you end up with a crop of boy groups who all sound very similar. And it becomes so much so that it all kind of sounds like noise. And it's hard for the listening public to differentiate who sounds like what is a specific talent that this group has, because they've all been made to sound and dance and dress very much the same. I did talk about the produce stuff at the very beginning of this live. I'm going to keep this live up if you want to listen to that. So, a lot of these boy groups, ONF, the Boys, the JBJs of the world, the Onuses, trying to think of other names for these groups. There's so many boy bands out there. They're all kind of falling into this hole of sounding the same, using similar sounds, dressing similarly, filming music videos similarly. And it is because their companies are trying to capitalize on the popular movement in the scene at the time. And it's always been this way. Like, you guys remember the great dubstep few years, but it's to the point now to where it all feels like noise. When there were only a few people all doing the same thing, it wasn't so bad. Now, with there being countless groups being debuted that are doing the same thing, it is insufferable. It is insufferable. And it makes people who want to be fans feel like, what is the fucking point when they all sound the same? You know, even their group names are starting to look the same. You know, there's AB6 and then there's 6, which is CIX. AB6, which is A, or AB6 is AB, the number 6, and then IX, and then there's 6, which is CIX. And it's just like, and then there's one us, and then there's UNF. See what I mean? Like, it's to the point to where it all feels like noise, and none of it really stands out. And honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that ATEEZ approached this thing in a totally different way than the other groups did, they would probably fall into the noise category too. You know, it just happened to be that the first time I heard anything about ATEEZ and the rest of y'all heard anything about ATEEZ was when they decided to do their KQ Boys dance covers, and that gave them kind of something different that the other boys weren't doing. But pretty soon that's going to be what the other boys are doing. So that's not even going to be a new approach anymore. Like, it's just really disappointing. Because if nothing else, K-pop used to offer a lot of variety. It doesn't feel that way as much anymore. You know, there used to be distinctive things that groups did that make them stand out. Like, when I look back at second gen, Infinite stands out, even though they're doing songs from songwriters who wrote for other groups, because they had their specific style. SHINee, other groups don't sound like SHINee, but then again, Jonghyun is a once in a lifetime vocal, as is Onew, and so who else can really sound like them, honestly? But Jonghyun especially, there's no one in K-pop who sounds like Jonghyun. Find a one. No one sounds like him. Taemin is probably about the closest, and that's just because he raised Taemin. But no one sounds like Jonghyun, and no one really sounds like Taemin either, to be honest with you. But I digressed again because I'm just thinking about how much I love them. Uh, Infinite sounded like Infinite. Shiny sounded like Shiny. I talked about TXT towards the beginning of this video. Again, I will keep this video up if you want to hear my thoughts about their concept trailer. No one really sounded like Big Bang. When Big Bang was first really super popular, no one sounded like them. 2PM, no one really danced like 2PM danced. Like, there's just so many things that when groups were coming out, they had a particular sound or style or kind of focus that other people didn't have. And now it's just people are trying so hard to be du jour instead of trying to be something that they could be proud of performing in 10 years. That it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. You know, and girl groups, they're not free from this either. Let's not act like girl groups get a free pass. I literally listened to like 2 brand new girl groups over last week. And I was like, do I like them? I don't know how I feel. But there's like this crop of girl groups that come out with kind of similar sounding songs, and they do the same kind of aegyo head nods and looking at the camera and all this stuff. And they're hard to distinguish. Like, there's a group called Saturday that has an MV right now called Byoing Byoing, I think is what it's called. It's their second release. What was the first? There's another group that came out that I cannot remember their name now, but they did a girl crush concept where they're in a prison. It kind of reminds me of Orange is the New Black. Apparently that was their second release. Purpleback is having their second release. There's all these kind of like lower tier girl groups that come out all the time. And there was a while there where some of the girl groups that were coming out were actually like these like dance covers slash stripper groups, if you know what I'm talking about. If you like, you know what I'm talking about, right? So I got to the point where I didn't even know what girl groups were legitimate girl groups. I had to like watch their performances to be like, okay, this is a legitimate girl group. It isn't like just a strip act parading around as a girl group. But I'm digressing. But yeah, there's tons of girl groups that are coming out now, and it's totally hard to keep track with. So there's like Rocket Punch, there's Everglow, there's ITZY, there's Saturday, there's Purpleback, there's Momoland, there's still the main ones that have been out there, you know, Dreamcatcher, GFriend, CLC, G Idol, Oh My Girl, Lovelies, April apparently. Um, there's all these girl groups out here, and they're all trafficking in either girl crush, which kind of sound leaky meeky. They're either trafficking in girl crush, or they're trafficking in cutie patootie, uncle wants me to sit on his lap music, and I just can't. I just can't with it. It's like everybody either wants to be Blackpink or they want to be A Pink, and very little in between. And it's just becoming very difficult to be into the girl group scene as well. I think that's the reason why I still hold so much hope for Red Velvet, to be honest with you. Like, if you have to choose between the two extremes, one of the things that I think has been the biggest strength for Red Velvet is that they're able to kind of float in the middle, if you will. Whereas a lot of these groups, they veer too far off in either corner, and it just gets really hard to pay any attention to it. Especially when they deliver these songs that sound so much like the background music for a sunny day scene from a K-drama. It's just like, I can't pay attention anymore. I'm sorry, I want to, but I can't. Anywho's, I think I'm pretty much done speaking because I still have more chips I'd like to eat. But before I sign off, I realize that I've been very lax about leaving words of comfort at the end of my videos. And it's something that I had been making a real effort to do. But then lately, I've just been kind of like ending the videos wherever. So I'm going to give a little bit of life advice to you guys because I think it's important. to kind of give you something that you take away from this chat that's really going to make you feel good, and it's going to be something that lasts a little bit longer than ripping in on companies and their lack of entertainment quality. So, this is something that's really good for your life. At least I think it's really good for your life. And it's something that I heard recently that I'm going to try to implement more of. So, we're getting into the fall/winter season. And we've talked about it before in my videos, or I've talked about it before, but there is such a thing as like seasonal depression. The fact that, the lights start to go down, and, it gets darker earlier in the day and it stays darker for longer in the morning, and it starts to get colder. And for those of you who live on the other hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, flip that shit. Y'all are about to enter summer. So Caitlin's about to be in her Daisy Dukes because it's about to get hot down in Australia. Night. I just said her name too. That's so funny. But as we get into winter, it is very important for you to pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to when you start to feel like you're getting the sniffles. Pay attention to when you start to feel like your bones are aching. Pay attention if you find yourself not doing as much work around the house. Pay attention if you find yourself not enjoying things as much. Pay attention to yourself. I think a lot of us are so used to having seasonal affective disorder and being depressed in the winter that we don't even think about it as being abnormal. We just think about it being this is a part of this annual cycle of sadness. It doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. There are things you can do to make the winter bearable for you. And it's little things you can do that can make the winter bearable for you. One of the things you could do to make the winter bearable for you is that if it gets dark earlier, you can start affecting the lighting in your home. You can start using fairy lights to make things a little bit softer in the evenings instead of the harsh glare of maybe an LED light or the harsh glare of neon lights. You can start doing things like approaching your house with I think it's called hygge. It's this style of decorating that is Hyggge. Look it up yourself. That it's what they call like a comfy. It's kind of like shabby chic used to be, except for it's a lot more refined. But it's a comfy style of decorating your home that includes a lot of throw pillows, really cute coffee cups, really decorative gloves, a lot of woodsy elements, a lot of handcrafted elements. So that's something you could do in terms of making your surroundings feel a little bit better so you can feel a little bit more positive. In the winter is a terrible time to try to grow plants, but bitch, I don't have a green finger. So what I like to do is I like to buy fake plants to decorate my house with to make me feel a little bit better. So I have some greenery to look at when the rest of the outside is dead and not green. Along with that, you can also maybe look at the food that you're eating. Now is a great time to start eating root vegetables because they're in season. So definitely sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, rutabagas, a lot of these root vegetables. Now is an awesome time to start eating them because they contain a lot of the vitamins that are essential to maintaining your mental and physical health in the winter. But please examine yourself. Notice if you're going downhill. Notice if you feel bad, even if it's slight. Pay attention to yourself and start doing little things to enhance your environment to make you feel like you have a comfortable and safe place to retreat to when the outside makes you feel sad. Because the winter can be depressing. There's that first snow that's always really pretty, but then the trees start to die, and then the snow starts to get dirty and it starts to melt, and then there's rainy cold days, and then there's just days where the sky looks gray and there's no snow and there's no rain and there's no color and everything feels like a black and white movie. Do things to bring the color back into your life. It is extremely important, and I think we need to talk about it now before we get into like the really heavy weather season. Stock up on candles. Now's a great time to, do a little scent therapy if you need to. But take care of yourself, pay attention to yourself, and treat yourself kindly because you do deserve it. Despite what people might say, you actually do deserve to treat yourself well. So thank you for sitting in for my wellness segment. And I will see you guys later. I have not come up with a video idea for Saturday. So I still want to do my K-pop fanfic thing, but I haven't gotten a good recommendation. Well, I take that back. There is one that I have, and it is a recommendation for a Monster X Pacific Rim influence story, which we might end up doing. So I may not do the K-pop fan fiction after dark this Saturday. It may be next Saturday that I do K-pop fan fiction after dark, but be paying attention for that because that is coming down the pipe. But we'll be doing a K-pop fan fiction after dark, and I'm really super excited about it because I feel like it's something that, even though it's a niche video series I'm doing, it's something I can see myself doing in the long run, and it's something I don't see a lot of people talking about. So definitely, I look forward to that. I think I'm gonna be examining um, K. K. See, I'm tongue tied. It's time for me to go. I'm gonna be examining how K-pop fan fiction is influenced by other media, i.e., the K-pop fan fictions that center on the Harry Potter universe are centered on a lot of the Marvel and other intellectual property universes. I think I'm going to do an examination of one shots. I think I'm going to talk about the reason why I hate ink so damn much. I think we'll definitely be doing a whole show talking about soulmate AUs because that is a genre that is very well explored in K-pop fan fiction. And then talking about historical because there's really not many good historical K-pop fan fictions that are placed in historical Korea. There are a few that are well researched, but there is a stunning lack of super well researched things. The infamous House of Cards fanfic. We might have to talk about that one too, because there is an artist that is attached to that fanfic that I have their art book here. So definitely that's one that I'll have visual aids for. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But yeah, that's a series I plan to keep going. I just think I'm going to be skipping this Saturday, but we'll definitely be doing it next Saturday, and it might become an every other Saturday thing. So be looking forward to that. And that is all for now. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you existing. Continue to do so if you can. Talk to you guys later. Bye.